was, on X, and somebody tweeted, and the person wrote during this midterm break, and the person wrote that ever since his children came home for this midterm break, what he has been hearing from them has been Cheche Kule, Cheche Kofisa. We were like, that is what is, but for the parents, for such parents, the parent might probably tell the child to stop singing that song. And if the child persists in singing that song, it is counted as what for the parent?
Misbehavior. Then the parents will be upset.
But it's not as if the child is misbehaving. The child is just expressing what he or she has learned somewhere.
And I think that's the best time to ask the child questions. Like, so, where did you hear this song from? What does it mean? Ask the child questions. You'll be surprised as to how children can communicate. I know that sometimes we can look at them like they're really small, but you'll be amazed at how much they can communicate and the things that they can do. Yeah.
Hello viewers, welcome again to Child and Us, where ideas, parenting and practice meet. We are here again for another beautiful episode. So today, we have one important question to answer, which is, why do children misbehave? Adebisi, what do you think?
Okay, thank you very much, Taiwo. I feel that question, I might not be able to, actually do justice to it, because how I see the way children misbehave might be different from the way others see it. It's a kind of relative, right? But then I believe that children misbehave maybe because of what they interact with. How do I mean? Maybe because of what has happened to them, or what somebody has done to them. Let me give you an instance. A child whose parent usually shouts on, probably before going to school. When such child gets to school, the way the parent shouts on that particular child, when he or she gets to school, he or she might probably exhibit that particular manner. So the child is always very aggressive at school. That's a part of a kind of behavior. So if you are talking about why does this child behave so aggressively, it might probably be because of the way they shout at that particular child at home, the way they behave to that child aggressively at home. But there is a particular, while we were in school, we were exposed to a lot of theories. I don't know if Fumi can remember. There's a particular theory that, containment theory.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can remember.
Yeah, by Walter Reckless.
Walter Reckless, yes. Thank you very much. So this theory, though the theory actually talks about why people commit crime.
Yeah.
But I believe if this theory talks about why people commit crime,
yeah, we can bring.
But this one we are not talking about crime actually, but we are talking about why children misbehave, right? But we can actually relate this theory to why children misbehave, because in this theory of containment by Walter Reckless, Walter Reckless was trying to explain to us that people misbehave people commit crime because of two factors: the push factor. What makes them commit crime? That's what the containment theory talks about. It talks about the push and pull factors.
Yeah.
So people commit crime because of that push factors. So in this aspect of misbehavior, right, children may misbehave because of this push factor. These push factors have internal, it has external, right? Internal are those things that the child feels within. For instance, anger, anxiety, bitterness, frustration,
low self-esteem,
depression. Thank you. So if a child feels depressed, feels hungry, feels frustrated,
or
right?
has low self-esteem.
The child has low self-esteem. The child can probably misbehave.
Yeah.
So there's a particular thing that is pushing that child to misbehave. In fact, there is no misbehavior in this world. If you look at that containment theory and this aspect of this push factor critically, there's no misbehavior in this world that we cannot relate to this push factor. Because whether it is internal or external are those things that, like I was talking the other time, I said a child might probably learn aggressive behavior while from home. Maybe the parents usually shout at that child from home. That is external factor. A child might learn aggressive behavior while watching, movies on social media, or while sees a parent, or while discussing with, probably friends. All of these things, they are things that make a child probably misbehave. So I believe, sorry, Barakat, I believe a child misbehave because of a particular thing that is pushing the child, whether that thing is either internal or external factors.
Sorry, let me. Okay.
Okay, from what you just explained, there's something I need parents to understand. Not only parents, educators or caregiver. They need to understand something before something, especially the misbehavior of the child, before jumping into conclusion. The conclusion, which means punishment. They need to understand the kind of communication that child is trying to tell them through misbehavior. Because most times children communicate to adults through expression. Some children cannot speak. Why some children, they find it difficult to say something to an elderly person. And the only way they can say it is through expression. They are going to, is either they cry or they shout, or you can just see them moody. So, and what I would just want to bring out from there is that as a parent, you need to pay attention to whatever expression or whatever ways your child, or whatever things, or the kind of the physical, the way you see your child, or the expression the child is giving you, you need to pay attention to it. So from there, you will be able to know what exactly is wrong with the child. Then you'll be able to solve the problem. Rather for you to jump into conclusion by beating the child or shouting at the child or punishing the child.
So let's come back to Nigerian context now, because I know that back then our parents, if they actually make a particular meal and like for example, let me use myself for example now, and that particular meal is not of my interest. We are like, let's say we are like 4 in numbers in the family, and of course, if a particular meal is provided by the parents, everybody is expected to eat, even if you are even if you are interested or not interested, you are definitely going to eat that meal. So what if it's in a situation whereby myself individually, I'm not interested in that meal? They will feel like tó bá wù ẹ́ kó jẹ, tó bá wù ẹ́ kó má jẹ, ìwọ lè bí máa pa. So if you like, you eat it. If you like, eat it. If you like, don't eat it. So, and that particular scenario can make that child do whatever things that, because hunger definitely would make somebody, just like they will say that an hungry man is an angry man. So of course this can also make an individual misbehave. So if every parent or caregivers or anybody that have passion for children don't really pay attention to all of these little things, it's not about the way they are trained. It's about the what is going on now.
The emotional
feelings of a child. It's not everything parents will start shouting that, Korailo, get out, all those stuff like that. It doesn't work for a child. Okay, now let's talk about, we are talking about children.
Before that, I just want to buttress what Barakat said. But then before then, I just want us to give a little insight on what misbehavior is. In my opinion, I think that misbehavior is any form of behavior that goes against expected, maybe classroom rules or school rule or the house rules. Do you understand? And I also need us to understand that what we adults may see as misbehavior might actually not be misbehavior. It might be the child trying to communicate something, communicate their needs, just like Barakat has said. And another point that I think is important is that parents, educators, and teachers, caregivers, yes, they need to understand that there's a difference between developmentally appropriate behavior and misbehavior. So I think that developmentally appropriate behavior is every normal behavior that the child grows up with. I'll give you an example. So an example is maybe a child always asking you, why? You know, some adults might find it annoying and they'll be like, please, do you understand? But
Like,
it might be the child showing their curiosity. And curiosity is a really good thing, right? Might be the child trying to express their curiosity, always wanting to know something. Another instance is maybe a child is refusing to share with their friends. And I know that as teachers, as parents, we teach children that sharing is caring, always share with your friends and all of that. But, you know, as adults, we might be upset and flare up. But it might be the child just learning social skills and emotional regulations. That's why I think it's important for parents and teachers to communicate with children. Instead of flaring up, how about like teaching the child, like, if don't snatch from your friends, use your gentle hands all the time. Because you know that children learn from what they hear. They learn from what you do. So it's good that we portray like a very good
Like their role model.
role model.
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
teach children. Instead of children, when you say a child snatch from their friends, that's why early years is like foundation stage. That's when you teach the child, oh, use your gentle hands all the time. You tell the child, no, don't snatch toys from your friends. You understand? Stuff like that. So back to misbehavior. I think misbehavior is intentional. When the child is intentionally misbehaving, like hitting their friends, pushing, and like BC said, it could be because of external factor, internal factor. The peer pressure, you mentioned peer pressure, right?
Exactly.
It could be that the child has seen something from home, something from school. And like I said earlier, that's why it's good to communicate. I keep telling the children so that they learn all of these things.
Sorry, Baraka. I just remember something. You know, I was, on X, and somebody tweeted, and the person wrote, during this midterm break, and the person wrote that ever since his children came home for this midterm break, what he has been hearing from them has been Cheche Kule, Cheche Kofisa. We were like, that is what is,
Trending.
but for the parents, for such parents, the parent might probably tell the child to stop singing that song.
Yeah.
And if the child persists in singing that song, it is counted as what for the parent?
Misbehavior. Then the parents will be upset.
But it's not as if the child is misbehaving. The child is just expressing what he or she has learned somewhere.
And I think that's the best time to ask the child questions. Like,
So,
where did you hear this song from? What does it mean? Ask the child questions. You'll be surprised as to how children can communicate. I know that sometimes we can look at them like they're really small, but you'll be amazed at how much they can communicate and the things that they can do. Yeah.
I think you wanted to talk the other.
From what you said children misbehavior is intentional.
Yeah.
I disagree with you.
Okay.
See, every child behavior has a reason.
Yeah.
A child does not act without a reason. So everything has a purpose. Now, I want us to understand something. Like we said, misbehavior is a means of communication.
Yeah.
And these children that we are talking about, they want to feel that sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And also they want to seek attention. That's misbehavior that we're talking about. Children want to seek attention. Whenever they need something, you know how they behave. Like, okay, for instance, you know how parents, when they have visitor, our younger sister, the way they will come to our mother, if they want to buy something outside, you see the way they will relate, and they will talk to our mom. They come to them, is either they shout or they start rolling on the floor.
Yeah.
And the visitor will say, please, I'll come back and discuss with you. Please, just attend to the child. So, and these children are also talking about, in the aspect of power, for instance, in schools, there are some parents, they will tell you in front of their child, they will tell you not to beat their child. And that child will get to the school and discuss that with his colleague, with his or her colleague. What do you expect when you give that child an assignment or a task to do? What do you expect from that child? The child, those children, some of them might not want to do it. Some of them will not even do it. They won't do it because they will tell you that there's nothing the child wants to do because my mommy told.
That's what I said, it's intentional. The child knows
that
my mom already said that.
For me, I don't believe
the teacher should not.
I don't believe it is intentional.
What I'm trying to
So,
say
excuse me,
maybe
sorry.
not in all situations, because I think that there's an exception. For example, a child that has maybe speech delay and cannot communicate, that might be an exception. Do you understand? So maybe that, except maybe you have other exceptions.
So there is a particular quote: "A mistake made is not a mistake. A mistake repeated is a mistake." So that's the aspect of, if it is intentional, that means the person must have done it first time. Then you correct the person, or you ask why the person is doing it. You try to find out why the person did that particular, behave in a particular way. You try to tell the person, "Oh, no, you don't behave like this." The child, rather, you tell the child, "You don't behave like this. This is how you behave." That is Taiwo, sorry. So that is not intentional. So if that child now misbehaves again in that same regard,
that's why I mentioned communication. That's why I mentioned communication at the beginning.
So I said that because not all. Sorry, I said that because you said you believe that all misbehavior are intentional. That's why I said that not all.
Okay, maybe some behavior there are exceptions.
Exactly.
So are we now saying that misbehavior is like a bad thing? Because we understand that just like Adebisi mentioned the containment theory, which talks about the push, which is the external and the internal factor, which means that the internal factor is the push factor is basically saying that there is something that is causing why
that child is
doing a particular thing.
Yes.
So are we now saying that it is intentional or not intentional?
Not entirely. Sometimes it might be but let's say intentional now is, like she said, like BC said earlier, when a child does something, the first thing you do is communicate with that child. Then when the child keeps repeating it, I think then that
it becomes intentional.
It becomes a problem. But an exception is when the child has maybe speech delay. You know that the child throwing tantrums might be because you're trying to communicate something.
Exactly.
And then she gave an example of maybe a child rolling on the floor and all of that. I think the first thing to do is communicate with the child, right? Maybe come down to the child's level, keep eye contact with the child. I'm just saying my opinion, and tell the child that this behavior is unacceptable. It's a no-no.
There are some children, when you have like a very close eye contact with them, they tend to be very naive.
Naive?
Yes.
You mean like nervous?
Yeah, nervous. Nervous. They tend to be nervous. At that stage, they could probably cry or run back to where they are.
That's why we need to observe and understand children. There are some children that you do that for, and there are some children that you would ask them questions. What do you want? Why are you doing this? And all of that. So you communicate with the child, but then if it now keeps repeating itself, I think that's when it becomes a problem.
Okay, sorry, Taiwo. Sorry. Before you go to that, I believe I just remembered something now. What we see as misbehavior, like Fumi said earlier, and like Barakat also said that it might be something that they are trying to express their emotion.
Yeah.
What we see as behavior. There is a particular somebody, my neighbor, sometimes ago, whenever his child cries or is crying, what he does is that he will call, maybe the wife is doing something and the wife just drops the child and the child begins to cry, right?
Yeah.
So what he does is that instead of him to carry the child, like to pet the child, what he does is that he will just be saying that Iyalagbaja, will just mention come and carry your child. He's just crying, not knowing that child is only crying because he needs attention. So the father already sees that as a kind of misbehavior, disturbing his peace, not knowing that child is just crying because he or she needs what? Attention. In that aspect, we like parents that probably find themselves in this kind of situation. They need to understand that even if somebody is a parent, maybe the mother is doing something, you as a father, you need to assist the mother, carry the child, pet the child. Because the child is only crying because he or she is expressing.
But that child is a baby, I think. Because sometimes that attention makes it worse.
Okay.
Because
How do you mean?
So for example, I'll just say maybe children from 3 years old, when you give them attention the first time, they might do it again because they know that you keep giving them attention.
That is the reason why we need to set rules, boundaries, and be strict with it, because children are fun. When you correct them the first time, there are some children, they want to test your patience. They will do it. But when there's rules and it is strict and you are strict with it, they will understand.
Yes, like maybe telling them that you can give rules, like if you do that again, you go on timeout. That means you might not play with your friends.
Exactly.
Or if you do that again, I'll take your favorite toy.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Children like to play a lot. So when you say I'll take your favorite toy, or you go on timeout, or you're grounded, I'm sure that might also help.
Misbehavior, from what you just said now, I want parents, caregivers, educators to see misbehavior as this. We have what we call plants.
Yeah.
Same plants, we have the leaves and the roots. Okay. The leaves, that represent the bad behavior, which we see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why the roots represent the emotions, internal, what we can see. Yeah. So it is hidden, buried under the dirt. So now, in our compound, we have weeds we have weeds being grown.
Yeah.
What do? We chop off those leaves, leaving the roots. We didn't dig up the roots. Okay. When you come back next week or next 3 weeks, the leaves grows again. Why? Because we didn't dig up the roots. So that is why behavior, let's relate this to this behavior. If you continue punishing a child, you punish the child today, tomorrow, without knowing the cause, the root, what happened, why that child
keep going.
Exactly, what that child is, the reason why that child misbehaved, that child will continue misbehaving. No matter how you punish the child will continue because you didn't dig up the roots.
I was also going to say, for instance, like a child that has ADHD. ADHD, most of them cannot sit on the spot for long. They're always jumpy and all of that. And then you're a teacher in the class, and that child is not sitting with their friends. Sometimes it might be annoying.
Yes.
So this now comes down to communication and observing the children. So I think one of the strategy in that aspect is maybe observe what the child really likes. So if the child likes maybe dinosaurs and you want to teach the child numbers, you can print out lots of dinosaurs. Let the child use the dinosaurs to quantify. So, okay, say, count 5 dinosaurs, just to bring the child's attention. I think that's another strategy.
So for our viewers to get to understand what we listed based on the theory, and I feel that we should try and at least list some of the internal and external factor of the push, which is something that that led to the child misbehavior. And we've also said that behavior is a form of what? Communication. So let's at least give like a few little, points from, so that our viewers could probably get exactly what we are actually talking about. Although we've been able to explain, analyze, and talk about some of these examples. So I just want us to get the point right so that we can, the viewers can also get those examples.
Okay.
Although we've not listed everything, but at least let's just give few examples of the external and internal factor of that push.
Okay. Let me explain that.
Okay.
When we say internal and external, there's internal and external factor of misbehavior. This, for instance, the external factors of misbehavior, this has to do with the way the child. This has to do with the way the child relates, that the emotional feeling of that child.
Yeah.
If there is no self-control in a child, the child continues to misbehave. For instance, as a teacher, you have 2 children, and both of them were playing with toys, and you told both of them that both of you should pack up those toys and go and tidy up or do something. The first child answered because that child has eaten breakfast, slept well before coming to school. So the second child, he has not eaten in the morning, which is the breakfast, and he did not sleep well. What happened? So now you gave instruction to both of them, but one answered, the second one did not answer. So it shows that the internal state of the child, both of them is not corresponding.
I think what Barakat is trying to explain is that one of the internal factors is hunger. So this scenario for push, yes, hunger. There are other internal, like we mentioned. We mentioned hunger, anxiety, yes, anxiety, frustration, depression too. A child can be depressed.
Yeah.
That's it. That is internal. That depression is internal.
Like, what's the child getting depressed? What is the child thinking of? What is people keep saying that like just like the Yoruba will say that ọmọdé ò ní rònú.
Exactly.
Kí lọmọdé mọ̀. So a child doesn't really have
most of the things that do cause that depression in children, for me, when you distance a child away from you.
Okay.
When a child wants to do something, every time you keep shouting at that child, even if the child sees you, the child run away. Yeah, the child
available for the child. When you go in the morning and you come back really late and the child is not seeing you and the child really wants that
parental presence,
parental care and all of
no
and I also think
presence,
that as much as we're talking about the push and pull factor, we should also not forget containment itself. And containment is that thing, containment can be the methods and the strategies that we use to curtail curb all of these factors.
I was going to.
It's more like advantage and disadvantage.
Yeah.
Just to put in the layman.
What we used to curtail all of these
behaviors. For me, we mentioned earlier. We mentioned push and pull.
Yeah.
The push is actually what makes them behave the way they behave. All this misbehavior that we are talking about.
Just like Barakat said when she gave an example of you're talking to two children and one is not responding, which might be because the child is hungry.
Yes.
One of the strategies that we can use to curtail it is communicating, like we said earlier. Call the child. Are you okay? Is everything okay? You'll be surprised as to how the child would respond to you. Just ask, is everything okay? Are you okay? Are you happy?
I think that's a pull factor.
Yeah. Are you okay? Are you happy? Is everything okay? Did you have breakfast? Just ask the child lots of questions. You'll be surprised how the child will be telling you what happened at home. Oh, I didn't eat breakfast, stuff like that.
So we've been able to break down what the push factor is actually, so some of the things that can cause a child misbehavior. So Fumilola, we've been talking about what is pushing the children to misbehave, like to behave the way they behave. So what thing can the children do to behave well?
I think that's a very good question. So I think one of the things that we can do is teach children values. I know we have lots of values. Teach children kindness, teach them sharing. So as they do all of these things, you tell them that, it's good to be kind to our friends. Give them examples. You could tell them stories that have moral lessons and all of that. Teach children sharing is caring all the time. But also remember to teach children that if you say, let's share our toys, and the other child is still playing with the toy. So in that instance, you teach the child that the person doesn't have to give you at that time, because the child might be playing with it too. So in that aspect now, that's when emotional regulation comes in. So like I was saying earlier, teach the children morals, values, such that they can become good people in the society. Because when all of these values are lacking, that's why we have people that what's the word again? That's why we have irresponsible people in the society, such that they are very selfish. They cannot share. They are not kind to they're not kind. They are rude. They don't talk nicely, and all of that. Some people are even aggressive, shout. So early years or early childhood education is like the foundation stage where you teach children, use your gentle words all the time. Don't say words that might hurt your friends, all of these things. I'm sure BC and Barakat we talk about some more values.
Thank you, Fumi. Like you mentioned, you mentioned kindness.
Yeah.
When we were talking the other time, we talked about the push factors.
Yeah.
Those things that make a child misbehave. And we are talking about how we can, help a child, how we can help curb or curtail that misbehavior.
Yeah.
And we want to explore the aspect of pull factor, which Fumi has said kindness is actually, an example of pull factor, internal pull factor.
Yeah.
We have internal pull factors. We also have external pull factors. Those things that will make, that will curtail those bad behavior. Those things that are internal to the child. Those are internal pull factors. Those things that will also curtail the misbehavior. Those things that are external to the child. The things that the child gets from outside. Those are the external pull factor. So you mentioned kindness. I also want to mention empathy.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
empathy is an internal pull factor. How does a child, naturally some children, they are empathetic, naturally. But we can also train a child to also be what? Empathetic.
Yeah.
So if a child misbehaves in a way that, for instance, a child just keeps, eating his or her, friends, or whenever something happens, the child doesn't feel,
Love.
Sorry, doesn't feel sorry, doesn't feel sorry for such
behavior.
somebody that's
sober.
A particular child that actually fall down.
That falls down, right? So if you really want to curtail such bad behavior, you begin to teach that child empathy.
Yeah, I think that's another example can be maybe a child falls down and then their friend is laughing.
Thank you.
So in that aspect, now you teach the child that we don't laugh
that
at our
laughter
friends.
is a bad behavior.
When our friends are down, we don't laugh at our friends. We help them like
assist
so in the
them.
nearest future now, when that child has a friend and the friend is struggling, because of the person will be able to support their friend, learn the child to understand that when people are down, you help them up. When your friends are down, you help them rise up. So I think what BC said,
there's another thing, I don't know if, though Baraka, you wanted to talk about but I'm sorry, apart from the internal pull factors, I said we also have external.
Yeah.
So I want parents, caregivers, teachers, and even anybody. And unfortunately now, the social media, we have social media that children are exposed to a lot of things on social media. They are exposed to a lot of content, right, that might be, harmful to them, misleading to them. And some of even the internal push factor are those things that they learn on social media. And it is not that they cannot also learn good things on social media, which can be examples of external pull factors. Social media is an external pull factor if it is used in a very good way.
Because I know that, of course, there are some stuff like children can watch on YouTube.
Programs. Morals, all those tales that teach morals. They can learn morals. They can learn how to curtail bad behavior.
But in all of this, parents should also be careful as to what their children. Yes, parental control, such that they don't just.
They don't digress, right?
Digress.
Yeah.
So now, what you are trying to say is that children should have both internal and external factor for them to behave.
No, there is what I'm trying to explain is that there is internal and external pull factors. So those things that will make a child
those are the factors that pull the child away from misbehaving.
So those factors can be internal. They can be things that are from within. Like kindness that we talked about, like empathy. Those things are from within, right?
So and then if it's external, it means something that we can teach the child to do, or something from outside.
Those ones that are from within, a child might not even have it, right? A child might not have it. Yeah. We are saying that we can train them to actually have empathy, to actually have kindness, right? Yeah. Then the external too, what they watch, their friends, what the parents do, what they see parents do, they begin to learn from them. So if you do something that is good as a parent or as a caregiver, as a teacher, in the presence of children, young children, they learn it. They learn it.
Children
learn the good behavior that we have.
What they see and what they hear,
and all of that. So if a child is not like learning from the positive way, I think it's going to be of disadvantage.
I also think that schools should do better in maybe employing like really qualified teachers, because from home the child might be from a loving family, and then imagine having a loving family, having loving parents, and then coming to school to a mean teacher. or a teacher that is,
sorry, Fumi, I don't get. You said schools should employ qualified teachers.
Qualified in what sense? And teachers that are passionate about children.
You
teachers
talk about passion.
Qualified is true, because you can be qualified.
You can be qualified and not empathy. Yes.
So maybe sorry, Tao, let me just finish. So yes, like I was saying, schools should employ passionate teachers. Imagine a child coming from a loving home, coming from loving parents, and coming to school to a teacher that is mean. Do you understand? It will be conflicting, because the child is learning from loving parents at home, all of these values and morals. And then the child comes to school to a teacher that is aggressive, or a teacher that shouts all the time. So it might be conflicting. So schools should, do better to employ, passionate teachers that love children and love what they do.
Yeah, I could remember when I was teaching back then, I think during my NC days, when I was teaching, there's this particular child. I think the parent usually brings like food and all of that. This child will just come to me like, "Uncle, have you eaten?" Like, "Have you eaten?"
You can see how the child is being trained.
So I get to realize that could be one of the pull factors, because that particular child has learned something
from his
at home, to behave well, when you see elders, you greet elders.
And also not be at home.
Yeah, it could
I
be.
also see someone doing that.
Because now, at this point now, a child can be coming from mean parents.
Yes.
And then coming to school to loving teachers.
Another instance is my place where I stay. There's this lady that has two children. They are both boys. So each time they see me, they feel like, "Hello, Mr. Taiwo." So there was a particular day I now called them and I addressed that. When you see adults, you don't say hello to adults. You check probably the time, check the weather and all of that. You say,
I don't know if you
I
are having
oppose
this.
what you're saying, because hello and I is also a form of greeting.
It's a form of greeting.
So you saying good
we need to be contextual. We need to be contextual.
That's why you should contextualize.
We need to
Don't
contextualize
generalize it. In Nigeria now, millennials will say you cannot say hi and hello to me.
Yes.
You have to say good morning, good afternoon. But in other parts of the world, hi and hello is.
So
and some children are coming from homes where their parents say, "Oh, hi."
Exactly.
I don't expect the child to.
What if the child finds himself or herself outside the country?
Yes. But maybe in the child.
But then we need to contextualize it. We need to do that in our own context, right? What is applicable in a way to show respect? Why greeting is that you good morning, sir.
Not all the time.
Not all the time.
Yes, because there are some people from homes where they say hi, hello.
We are saying the same thing, right? There are sometimes that they say hi, hello, if that's the way they are trained, right? But you can actually train a child in your own culture, right? You can contextualize it
as a parent, right?
A parent, or yes, this is even for parent now. If you really feel that you want your child to respect people the way you do, to greet people the way you do, you really want your child
to actually change that, not respect people,
to greet people the way you do. See, greeting is a form of respect.
Yeah,
I have a personal experience about that. Greeting, one of the ways you can show respect is by greeting.
But people's definitions of greetings are different.
No, it's very relative now. We have different meaning. But for me personally, greeting is a form of respect.
Yes.
People respect you when you greet them.
Yeah.
And you respect people when you also greet them. And they tend to also respect you.
And people just think you are humble when you greet.
Yeah, they believe that you are humble. But what I was trying to say is that we are talking about contextualizing, greeting, like you use that as an example.
I see it as what's it called? As a means of the external pull factor, because of course they've learned that they need to
They eventually
learn that each time they see, it's not all adults that is going to accept that
kind of greeting.
I.
Yeah, we're
Because
different
I
now.
can't.
Like this thing now doesn't like hi and
Yeah,
hello. Me, I really don't mind when children
No,
in my school come and
I
they say
don't mind
hi.
actually. I don't mind.
When children come and say hi, Miss Fumi, I'm
I
fine
don't
with
mind.
you.
I'm somebody that believes in culture.
Oh.
So we can't deviate from our culture. So we need to abide by the culture. Of course, this video is not limited to only those in Nigeria. Do you get?
Mhm.
Because this is, we are talking to the world, just to let them understand that everybody has culture.
And every culture matters.
Also know that times are changing. Times are changing.
No, times, you are saying times. What times are changing? What times are changing?
But times are changing
because what do you mean by times are changing?
No, hold on, because I need you to understand that we're different. For some people, if you say hi to them, they really don't mind.
Yeah.
Like children in my class, when they come and they say hi, Miss Fumi, I don't mind because I see it as.
Wait, let me share my experience.
Okay, let's
During my year of service, I was posted to Akwa Ibom.
Okay.
Then I thought for a child to greet an elderly person, you're supposed to bow or bend down, even if you can't. So as I was going there, the student did, hi, madam. I was like, hi, madam Azal. I had to call the child. I said, you don't greet people like that. No, you don't. Not knowing that there was a man standing at my back. The man had to call me and tell me that, this is how they do in Akwa Ibom. Like, they are going to tell that they don't greet, they don't bow like this or kneel down. Yeah. I understand that you are Yoruba. You are coming from Lagos or so, or any other state. You people kneel down whenever you want to greet and down, especially the female child. But yeah, they wave. I was like, wow.
That's what I was saying. Like,
so that's why I said, it depends. There are some traditions that welcome this. Yeah. So I want us to.
That's what I was saying. People are different. Cultures are different.
This particular saying comes in. When you are in Rome, you
behave like the Romans.
So you can begin to explain to such child that in this particular part of the world, this is what is applicable. Then when you find yourself in another part of the world, you first observe them. You learn the way they do things, the way they greet. Because when you are in Rome, you behave like a Roman. I think it's fair like that.
Yeah.
Because it is important that children behave well, because when they tend to behave well, that's when they, acquired a lot of things as they grow up. Because when a child is growing, and whatever the child learns while it's growing, that's what the child would adopt. Just like we said that children imitate what they hear, what they see, and all of that. But I also believe that the pull factor of the containment theory would help, parents, caregiver, teachers, and even anybody that has passion
also,
about
please,
it.
allow me to say this. I want to add this. I want us to understand that children, they are not born to behave well. So it is the responsibility of an adult, especially the parents or caregiver or educator, anybody in charge of a child, to train that child, to guide and support that child.
But sorry, why did you say children are not born to behave
well? Yeah.
So I want us to be, conscious of the word we use. You can say some children. Okay. So when you say children, you are like generalizing it. That's like
another theory. That's another theory for Montessori. When you say tabula rasa, that means a child is born with
a child's brain is blank, empty.
So you're the one that will teach the child. But I don't think that's
that's
applicable, because you generalize
some children. Yeah. Okay. Some children are not born to behave. Exactly. So it's just the right and the duty of an adult, whoever is in charge of a child, to train that child, observe, using, now, for instance, when a child misbehaves, I think the first thing an adult or anybody in charge of the child to do is understand why that child is behaving. Yes, ask questions on why. And also identify the need of the child, what the child wants. If you know the why, you have to know what the child needs. So it is that what, like, if you are able to identify what the child needs, you'll be able to work on it as an adult. This child is hungry. Okay, what kind of food am I going to prepare for this child? So you think, and when we are deciding on what to do for that child, we don't need to be, we shouldn't be biased. We adults sometimes we are being sentimental. We like to, there are sometimes when there's based on our own understand.
our
Yeah,
position
exactly,
about things,
exactly.
how we see
So
things.
we should
Don't
decide
consider
based
them.
on our own interest. And also, we should try to teach a child to learn from that behavior. Now you've corrected the child. Teach that child, this is how you are going to do. This kind of attitude, don't do that again. So teach the child the right attitude.
Just like the Convention on the Right of the Child 1989
Yeah.
that talks about every discussion, every matter that has to do with children, the most important thing, the most important that must be considered is the utmost interest of the child. In any decision that will be made on the child, the most important thing is the interest
Of the child.
So I was going to talk about, this. Why I said you shouldn't say children are born to misbehave.
Yeah.
I remember when I was, I can remember when I was teaching, there was a particular girl in my class. This girl, I don't know whether they taught her empathy and kindness from home. I don't even know. In fact, two girls. One was Stephanie and the other one was Temi. Stephanie will come to school, right? She will bring her own food. In fact, I don't know how she did it. She would have told her mother to cook my own food too. She will bring two food to school, my own, her own. Anytime she doesn't bring food or she didn't bring food to school, she will come to my table. I'm Mr. Dedeke, I didn't bring food to school today. I'm so sorry. Like the other girl, Temi, if she she will also come to me. She will probably, maybe she buys, sincerely speaking, she buys things from me. She used to buy probably fruit and all of that. There was a day I had to like call the parents. Excuse me, these are the things I am experiencing. Your child does this. And she was like explaining to me that is how, though she's the one that usually gives her money.
Yeah.
But it is that she explains to her that she likes, being kind to her teacher. I was like, this is amazing. I was wow.
There are some parents,
also,
when you get to their home, the first thing they will do, they are going to entertain any visitor they see.
Exactly.
So they entertain visitors. Yes, I've experienced that before.
where they always, when they're going to visit someone, they always buy something along.
Yeah.
So
you
that
know?
child emulates that habit. So whenever the child goes out, so the child told, okay, let me to get something and give it to so person.
I think that's
I
a
was
very
also going
good
to
lesson
give- yeah.
for parents.
Exactly.
It's a
I
very
was
good
also going
lesson
to give
for
an
parents.
instance. I remember one time, I don't know what happened to me, but going to work, I was really sad. And children can just read your emotions.
Exactly, yes.
I was really sad, and then a child walked up to me and said, "Oh, Miss Fumi, you're sad. Why are you sad? Don't be sad." I was just wow. I just gave the child a hug. Honestly, if I wasn't in class at that moment, I would have cried more
Imagine.
because I got so emotional, and so.
Yeah, children
there are
have
words,
empathy
and
all
most
of
of
that.
sometimes when they talk, their words are kind of comforting.
You'll be
surprised
Yes,
as to, like,
exactly.
where did you?
In fact, that reminds me. There was a time I was, when I was doing like this, I was doing private teaching, and a child my student, his younger sister, I call her my baby Fatia. Actually, I call her my baby Fatia because I so much like being around those children. So there was a day I was, I almost finished, teaching her brother, and she was like, Mr. DBC, Mr. Ade, they call me Mr. Ade then. They used to call me Mr. Ade. So, Mr. Ade, you are tired. Can you go and rest? Can you can imagine that kind of feeling of empathy, feeling of kindness? I was just, thank you, my baby fighter. Thank you. I'll go and rest. Well, make sure you.
I have another instance
understand.
when
Children are like
children
that.
in my class were having lunch, and I have lunch also while they are eating. So that day I wasn't having lunch, and the child that was sitting next to me brought her spoon and was like this, that eat too. I was like, this is so cute,
I'm
and
telling you.
Those are the
So we can actually, these ones might probably be natural for them to behave this way they are
it might be
behaving.
natural.
But
It might
we can
also
train
be
children.
something that they've learned.
That's what we are saying. We can train children.
What? Training children also. Parents need to understand what that training of a child means. There are some children, they kind of there are some parents whereby they kind of misunderstood training with pampering.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, because that thing is common.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to use it. Omolo go lele you. So you know how our parents used to do that. Omolo, and exactly. And you know the kind of treat they are going to give that the child. I want parents to understand something. If they want to train the child for misbehaving, I'm not saying that you shouldn't give that child a nice treat. Treat that child with love. And that love, it means give listening ear. That should be the number one thing.
Yeah.
Listen to your child. Either they are expressing themselves or they are speaking or saying anything. Anyhow, just listen to your child. Ask questions. Teach them values. So I think all these things, parents need to emulate all these values in training their child. Instill the values. Sorry, they need to instill those values in training their child. So not pampering them, because they are kind of not understanding training with pampering.
I don't think there's going to be anything like pampering, right? In trying to teach children this pull factor of
teaching them the right behavior.
I don't think there's going to be anything like pampering. If you are teaching, we are talking about pull factor, the things that made them,
that pulls them away
from misbehaving. So it's definitely going to be a teaching of.
I also think that there should be synergy between teachers and parents, and also nannies or caregivers. There should be synergy so that everybody's working together
for the good of the child.
Everybody's doing the same thing
for the best interest of the child.
For the best interest of the child. So yes, synergy is very important.
So that the child will not get to school, face something different. Will not get home, face something different, and the likes like that.
That's a very good. That's why parents, seriously, for parents, they really need to, like you said, there's need for synergy. They really need to work hand in hand with teachers. It is very important that parents work hand in hand with teachers. But what I have observed,
yes, it could be the caregivers, it could be the nannies.
Caregivers, yes. Make sure that you work. Anybody that your child is exposed to, you need to work hand in hand with the person for the best interest of that child.
Everything we're doing here is for the best interest
of the child, actually, because a lot of parents they don't really want. In fact, there are some parents that don't want teachers. They are the teacher of their children, of their child. They don't want them to be close to their. They tend to. Somebody is teaching your child or is taking care of your child, and you don't really want the person to be close. You are causing probably enmity or something.
How so? How can you give an instance?
Yeah.
Have you seen cases of parents telling the teacher not to beat their child?
Not even
but
beat,
you
not to
beat the child.
No, you shouldn't beat the child.
A teacher
not to
not
even touch. Not to even touch sometimes.
A teacher should not.
They will tell the teacher, don't touch the bag, don't. Have you not seen that?
No, I haven't seen.
I have seen.
It's the child's bag. I'm the teacher.
I have seen cases like that.
I will bring out the books from the child's bag.
I've seen cases like that.
A lot of cases like that,
they are hostile. What I'm trying to say is that there are some parents that are hostile to the teacher. When you are hostile to the teacher, what do you expect the teacher to? How do you expect the teacher to behave to such child? So these are the things that parents need to actually look at. You don't need to be hostile to the teacher, so that the teacher will also deliver to the child. I'm just trying to buttress your point of synergy between parents and teacher.
They should allow the child to be free with the teacher.
Exactly.
Or anybody in charge of their child. They should allow them to be free.
So collaboration.
Yes, it's very important.
All right. From this episode, we've learned that behavior is just all about communication. So once a child is misbehaving or behaving well, it's all about communication. As parents, caregivers, and anyone that have interest of the child should understand all of these things that we've discussed. So I also believe that while watching this video, there's a lot of things to learn. To even this Formula.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. So please subscribe to our channels, and then there is a like button just below this video. Please like, share to your friends and comment on the videos.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Would you like to give us topics that we can actually discuss?
Yeah,
just drop it on the comment section so we'll consider it.
And don't forget to share this episode to caregivers, educators, or parents, or anyone that has interest of children. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. This is the Child Us,
Where ideas, parenting, and practice meet.